Hey there, everyone. Ervin here with a breakdown for the tried and true AC-8 autocannon in Helldivers 2. This support weapon has been with us since launch and been almost entirely untouched other than small indirect improvements to its performance. The autocannon is lauded in the community and by the dev team as the pinnacle of what a balanced support weapon looks like. But how good is it really? Well, let's take a look at its technical specifications, target effectiveness, and damage breakpoints to find out. As is the case with all of my breakdowns, all thoughts on viability and testing was performed on difficulty 9 Helldive, giving you the most accurate information on how these weapons hold up in the endgame. The autocannon is an interesting design that makes very little real world sense, but comes together in a very fun way. A shoulder mounted rifle operated with a large charging handle on the right side, loaded with stripper clips. My current running theory is they wanted this weapon originally to make the grand ping sound when empty, but then later decided it would be loaded with strippers instead of end blocks. So naturally, they decided to make it generate a similar noise each time it's fired instead, and I love that. We love that. It also comes equipped with a generally pretty cumbersome first person mode, sporting a bulky optic with no variable zoom, as well as the cannon itself taking up a massive portion of your screen, obscuring your field of view. Generally, I advise just about never using it and sticking to third person aiming as a result. The autocannon has a variable firing mode when holding the reload bind of semi-automatic and automatic fire. The automatic firing mode is very difficult to control as the weapon sports some serious recoil even when fired from the prone position and is virtually uncontrollable from the standing position. As was the case with the heavy machine gun, we had to go digging through the guts of the game to find the recoil information as is obscured by Arrowhead for absolutely no good reason whatsoever. Thankfully, Zeddy brought me the numbers to show you guys. The AC has a vertical recoil value of 450 and a horizontal of 200. For reference, this is 45 times the recoil of firing the Liberator vertically and 20 times the recoil horizontally. So, yeah, this thing kicks hard. The recoil and swivel speed of the autocannon are definitely some of its low points that you should very much consider covering by running either armor with a 30% recoil control while crouching passive or the peak physique passive for faster swivel speed, as I talked about here in a recent video. The weapon, like many of our support weapons, has an explosive area of effect attached to where the projectile lands. This area of effect is relatively small compared to most, dealing 150 explosive damage within the inner radius of only 2 meters, and dealing between 149 to 0 damage in its outer 4-meter radius, which can quickly bring this relatively light explosion down below lethal levels for most enemies. Saturation kills do occur with the autocannon, but not typically within just one shot unless they are very tightly packed together. The inner radius has an armor penetration of class 3, while the outer radius only penetrates class 2 light armor as well, making it relatively important to be accurate with your shots utilizing this weapon. And of course, you need to be careful not to pop off shots too close to you, as wearing average medium armor within the inner explosive radius of this weapon is enough to take 75 of your 125 hit points and knock you to the floor for the enemy to finish you off. Stagger wise, the autocannon has 30 staggering force and 20 pushing force on the projectile, with the attached area of effect Shockwave that carries a very high 40 staggering force and 40 pushing force. This basically means that all but the heaviest adversaries in Helldivers 2 are heavily staggered and unable to retaliate while taking fire from the autocannon, making it very easy to hit repeated shots on enemies with very little return fire. Full marks for crowd control here. The autocannon requires the use of a backpack and can be team loaded, although no one ever does, nor should they bother. As I mentioned, the weapon is loaded with 5-round stripper clips, sporting a maximum internal capacity of 10 rounds, it's which you must have space within the weapon to insert 5 rounds at a time. This means the autocannon can only be reloaded when it has between 5 and 0 shots remaining, which will probably feel a bit disorienting for first time users. Ammo wise, however, we are swimming in ammunition this time around. One of the many balanced things about the autocannon, you get 10 rounds loaded at a time with 10 spare clips inside the backpack. This feels awesome, especially true now that our superior packaging upgrade is functional again. If you have this upgrade unlocked, you'll get a full refill for your backpack from resupply crates, Otherwise, 5 clips back if you don't, while also receiving 2 clips back per field crate. Not counting the laser based weapons in Helldivers 2, I pretty safely consider the autocannon to have the best ammo economy of any ballistic support weapon in the game. Reload speed wise, this weapon is lightning fast for a backpack loaded support weapon. While it does still require you to stay still during the animation, loading with any rounds remaining within the weapon results in it only taking 1.7 seconds to load a fresh clip in for an additional 5 rounds. Things do get a little bit wonky here though. As we talked about, this weapon is loaded with 5-round stripper clips but can hold up to 10 rounds. When reloading from empty with no interruptions, it will take a staggering 5.2 seconds to load both clips, as well as rack the comically large bolt to get back up to 10 shots. To this end, you really want to make sure during sustained fights to be reloading between 5 and 1 round remaining in the chamber for the faster 5-round reloads, as reloading from empty in the middle of a fight feels incredibly bad. We also have spawner destruction capabilities thanks to the autocannon's 30 demolition force. The ability to destroy enemy spawners with your support weapon is an often extremely helpful asset to many different loadouts throughout the game, and the plentiful ammo supply of the AC makes this doubly so. This makes it ideal for blitz missions in both factions as well as hell, any mission, really. When closing up fabricators, make sure to aim at the roof of the vents so that the projectile bounces down into the fabricator, destroying it. Once you get used to doing this, closing fabricators and bug holes from 50 or more meters away becomes a commonplace, excellent quality of life you will utilize extremely regularly. The AC has a muzzle velocity of 820 ms, which leaves it requiring very little effort in the way of leading shots to hit its targets, as well as suffering very minimal damage falloff, only losing roughly 8% of its ballistic damage when firing at 100 meters away. Although the optic does not support long range combat, the AC surely has no issues with engaging the enemy from afar as a result, assuming that you can hit the shots regardless. Speaking of damage wise, the AC does 260 ballistic damage in addition to its 150 explosive damage we covered earlier, while also dealing 260 durable damage as well when firing into durable body parts on enemies, making it extremely strong against the more durable opponents it penetrates with its armor penetration value of 4, otherwise known as light vehicle penetration. This makes it very effective against the vast majority of enemies in Helldivers 2, but it does struggle a little bit against the heaviest our opponents can bring to bear. With a fire rate of up to 250 RPM when letting her rip, assuming you can handle it, the autocannon is actually capable of dealing up to 1708 DPS with its automatic fire. This brings it to the number 2 spot for burst DPS, right behind the heavy machine gun we talked about last week when compared to all other weapons in Helldivers 2 with a set fire rate. So, yeah, this thing brings some serious pain, and we are all very here for it. That'll about do it for our technical specifications, so let's get into those all important damage breakpoints, shall we? Starting off with the automatons, the lightbots are, of course, absolutely decimated by the autocannon, going down in just one hit or even just being within its explosive radius. In either case, they simply do not have the health to survive this. Scout Striders go down when struck twice by the AC, generally anywhere, although the driver will die as well when you hit the top of the plate of the Strider. Overall, with its fantastic ammo supply, the autocannon functions as a great answer to squads of these units. Berserkers will go down in 2 shots to their upper body or lower body, as well as to any singular lucky headshots. The entire pack will end up stagger locked by repeated shots, making this a great answer for them. Devastators go down when they take 2 hits anywhere but their arms, or to just one headshot, staggered all the while, rendering packs of Devastators a worthless scrap heap after mere moments of sustained fire from the autocannon. Fantastic stuff here. Tanks and cannon turrets can sustain up to 3 shots to their backs or heat sinks before being taken down, but are otherwise immune to the autocannon's class 4 penetration. Getting around these adversaries can prove to be its one and only downside when facing off with the bots. Gunships have a 100% durability rating, and the AC could not care less. Although both the explosive and ballistic damage is halved when firing into its main body, it goes down in only 4 shots to it, or when struck in any of its 4 thrusters, just twice. With its incredible ammo supply, the autocannon dominates the skies above almost effortlessly, able to take down up to 5 ships per load when the diver is at the top of their game. Hulk's bodies are invulnerable to the autocannon, but their heads are fatal hitboxes broken down in just 2 hits from the weapon. With all its bobbing around, this can be a bit tough without stun grenades, but it's pretty doable overall. The back heatsink will also send the Hulk into a fatal bleed out when struck just 4 times, and the limbs can be disabled by the autocannon as well should you find yourself without a good angle to finish it off for good. Factory Striders are big, mean killing machines for sure, but the AC can take care of them relatively easily. The front guns, or fangs as my community commonly refers to them as, can be clipped off in just 1 hit each from the autocannon, and the Strider itself can be brought down through many different means. Slamming shots into the small eye on its face will bring the behemoth down in just 6 shots, which you'll have more or less no trouble doing after clipping off those front Gatling guns. Firing into the underbelly of the beast, you'll bring it down in just 4 to 5 shots, although you want to stand off to the side and fire in, as being underneath the Strider while firing the AC will result in you being ragdolled by your own explosions. They are also susceptible to fire on the backs of their legs, which can bring the Strider down in just 6 hits total on any leg. Overall, the autocannon works fantastically against this enemy. That does it for the automatons, and man oh man is the autocannon balanced against those guys. So how about the terminids? Well, as we talked about in my video on the heavy machine gun, there are definitely some negatives to bringing a class 4 penetrating support weapon to the eastern front. Not being able to penetrate charges from the front and only having a kill shot available on titans through the very middle of their tail can be a taxing issue if there are no teammates around to crack those targets open for you. However, although it will cost you a very valuable backpack slot, the AC has some very strong breakpoints against the rest of the termites, so let's go over those breakpoints. The scavengers and hunters are obliterated by the autocannon with one direct hit anywhere. However, the hunter can survive the explosive AoE due to having just 25 more HP than the explosion itself can provide. This means that paired with its slow swivel speed, the AC is definitely not a weapon you want to be utilizing against swarms of these, compared to, say, just using a top running primary like the Arc 12 Blitzer or the Incinerate Breaker. So, in this case, ask not if you can, but if you should. Warriors are a bit interesting. A headshot will send them into a terminal bleed out, while a body shot will kill them outright. There is some very annoying math behind this that, for the sake of your sanity, I won't be diving too deeply into, but wow, this just doesn't sound right when I say it out loud, does it? Hive guards go down in 1 hit to their little faces under the front plate, or 2 shots to anywhere on their main body. This is a pretty comfortable answer for these overall, and suffice to say, I was not disappointed with this clear. Brood commanders have the oh so satisfying 1 shot headshot to enter the terminal bleed out, alongside a respectable 3 shots to the body for a kill. Coupled with our fantastic staggering capability, the AC takes care of these guys no problem. Nursing and biospewers, due to their heads having an explosive immunity for fun, take 2 headshots to bring down with the AC, which is still not too bad overall. They also get broken down with body shots and just 3 hits as well. Considering the AC also stagger these out of their spitting animation, yeah, no complaints taking on this adversary with the autocannon. Stalkers, although they can close the distance and make the situation very deadly for you due to your explosive AoE, are brought down easily enough when stunned or engaged from afar in just 1 satisfying headshot or 2 body shots. When engaged from afar, stalkers will prove absolutely no issue for the AC thanks to the stagger, and are otherwise easily enough dealt with if you bring some stun grenades along. Shriekers, well, yeah, it one shots them, of course, but unless you're testing this thing like me, I wouldn't ever recommend using it for this task over, say, your primary or secondary for that matter. The AAC will take down their nests as well as spore spewers in just 8 shots each, however, and with our awesome ammo capacity and economy, you might as well wipe these out for your team from afar. Chargers are tricky, of course, but if you're able to get behind them through your best interpretation of a rodeo clown, stunning them, or both, you can bring them down with a few well placed shots on the rear after only 5 rounds. As far as Class 4 penetrating support weapons, I have to say, this felt pretty alright, all things considered, especially with them being heavily staggered from the shots the whole time. Bile Titans are impervious to all damage outside of the sacs on the bottom of their body, and when destroyed, can actually be killed by firing at the dead center of their exposed tail underneath. This is difficult to pull off in any kind of safe manner, and more often than not, you should probably just leave this up to your squad mates. However, if you do feel the need to do this yourself, it's going to take 3 hits to pop off the back sack, and another 6 to 9 shots to break the tail off, killing the Titan. Or, just up, right, down, down, down. That does it for our breakpoints. So, how good is this thing really? Well, in my opinion, the AC-8 autocannon is an absolutely fantastic support weapon that truly embodies everything that makes a good support weapon, right down to its core design. The AC sports some of the best DPS in Helldivers 2, with middle of the road armor penetration from the support position, balanced out by the fact that it has very high recoil and poor handling capabilities. It has a phenomenal ammo supply, balanced by the fact that it is a backpack loaded support weapon that removes your ability to utilize this spot for another purpose. It closes fabricators, it owns every medium enemy in the game, and it can compete against the strongest enemies in the entire game while staggering them at the same time. While its first person is ugly to look at, firing the autocannon is one of the most satisfying experiences for a very large percentage of the Helldivers community, and I am no exception. Against the automatons, I make extremely regular use of the autocannon in a significant portion of my loadouts, and I have to say I was overall surprised by how much I still enjoyed it against the bugs. While I'll likely still prefer other options against the terminids, my overall rating is a 7 out of 10 for the bugs and a balanced out of 10 for the automatons. Thank you for watching till the end, and have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.
Come hang, let's go out.